Hello everyone and welcome to a special video of Planet Zoo. You've seen it already from the little short intro. Today we are going to speak about the guests of Planet Zoo and effectively also of Planet Coaster, because that applies one-to-one to Planet Coaster, either for the console version and for the actual PC version. Now, I wanted to do this video already for over a year, already in Planet Coaster to be honest, but for me personally, this was really like, I waited a little bit longer to see what other games are doing, and we are also going to talk about other games. But first of all, let's start about the main and sole reason why I'm doing this video, as like an appreciation for Frontier's achievement in the art style of the guest in this game. Now, this game is very specific when it comes to their guest, because as many of you pointed out at the very beginning when the first screenshots appeared from Planet Zoo, there were a lot of people speaking about the fact, well, maybe the guests look a little bit too cartoonish in comparison to the very realistic looking animals. Now, as I did share a few of these comments, I have to say I wasn't even fearing it that much, because I knew already Planet Coaster and what it achieved. And looking at it from like an art perspective, they did something very specific and very special here, which is, it sounds easy, but it's incredibly hard to pull off. Now, what am I even talking about? So Planet Zoo and also Planet Coaster have a similar style, if not the same style, in terms of the art style. In terms of buildings, in terms of shaders, in terms of lighting, and in terms of animals and coasters, it was very close to photorealism. Like, a lot of stuff was very much focused to be looking very, very realistic. To be completely honest, like in a normal management game of a realistic park management game, zoo management, however you want to call it, city builder. But then the guests offer a huge contrast when you actually go very close to them. Now let's do this and a little bit quickly pause the game here and look at this lovely couple with their little daughter. Now you can see there's a lot to point out about these people, and I will go into detail because it's very important to understand what I'm talking about. But before we do so, let me show you exactly the difference, what it makes when we look at them from close up, and now we zoom out again. And what you now see is a very believable crowd. This is a very believable crowd simulation. You're gonna put some effects on, make a screenshot. This is looking like a real photo, okay? You would not be able to tell that these people look cartoonish. And there is a very, very, very specific and distinct feature why this is the case. I'm going to show this real quick. So we zoom back in and you can see these people are very cartoonish, you know, especially this dude over here, very pointy eyes, a big nose, the eyebrows are very distinct, you know, you can see them sticking out quite interestingly. The positioning is not really correct. The ears are a little bit too small, pointy. Then we have this girl over here. She's wearing like a very overexposed sunglass, to be honest, but you know, looking at 2020, 2021 fashion styles, this is actually maybe even way too realistic. We've got a very, very pointy nose, you know, it almost looks like a little bit terraforming went wrong. Very white teeth, and you know, just something, you know, about her exactly, also with the eyebrows and stuff, is not really looking very realistic, but also it's looking fairly decent. It's going a little bit more into the Sims 3 direction, if you ask me. And then if we look at the little girl again, very pointy eyes, having these weird sunglasses, looking like star-shaped, and then we have the hairs with the big buns to the left and right, reminding me of Mrs. Bo's sassy buns. Oh my god, how much do I miss that. But then, if we look at their clothing style, this is something that really doesn't fit to the super comic-y style, because the clothing again is rather realistic, you know. It really fits to their, let's say, a bit more comic-y overall shape, but the shading and the looks of it, it is yet a little bit more colorful, making the games a bit more happy. You know, the choice of colors and patterns and in general, like how they look is a bit more colorful to make this game a bit more happy, especially in Planet Coaster that was the case. I saw that they did reduce the colors a little bit to Planet Zoo, so they made it a tiny bit more realistic by reducing the poppiness, the saturation of the colors. If you compare that really one-to-one to Planet Coaster, I'm going to put some screenshots in here as well, you will tell that they reduced the colorful colorfulness a tiny bit to make it even more realistic, but this is just a nuance, it's nothing crazy. But again, you can see there's even like the belt in here, you've got the zipper, you've got a very nice jeans color with a little bit of washed out around the knees, because it's like a kid that would just go around a lot more on the ground, so it's normal that the knees are washed out because playing on the ground and so on. Some sneakers, the woman is putting on some sandals and stuff. Now, why am I pointing out this all that much? Because let's see what happens if we zoom out a little bit. So let's see that one, okay? This is kind of a distance, I would say, first level distance. Now, you can still very easily distinguish that this is a girl, this is a boy, because you have the shape of the woman is a tad bit, a tad bit different. By the way, I guess I need to put my cursor on. There you go. Now the cursor should be on. Let's just get rid of this one. Okay, so you can see the shape of the woman is very much likely to be a woman shape, because you have this little bit more wider area around the hips, and then she's going to be a little bit more narrow around the shoulders, while the male is going to be a little bit more bulky around the shoulders, and having not that much hairs is also helping, but that's just a little point issue here, And then we have the girl. She is very thin. The overall body is not having that much weight already. It's like a little kid, nothing crazy about it. Very interesting, because this is exactly what you need to tell from a distance what this person is kind of looking like and what it is. But now what comes in very handy now is the fact how they are suited, what the clothes are they wearing, because from a distance now this looks like a believable clothing arrangement of a normal realistic person. So if we zoom out even further and just go up a little bit, you can see this is exactly the distance we need to go. At this moment, the comic-y thing completely turns into a phenomenal, realistic looking couple. The reason why is, and this is very important now to notice, you don't notice that if you don't know and if you don't pay attention to it. Many games that try to go very realistic with people have a very big issue at this point in time, especially with the draw distance of elements. Since you go in and make the heads looking very realistic and believable, all these items, all these features of a face, for example, that make the face just kind of appear like a face, vanish, because they're like so tiny detailed that at a certain point, for the performance reasons, you need to take away from them. You can't just show all the little eyebrows and stuff. But since they go a little bit more comic-y here and they're way overexposed, from a distance, you still can tell them like a little bit, You can still tell there's a nose and some eyes and so on. You can see the sunglasses in the face. So there's a little bit going on. It's not just a little balloon on top of it, There is a detail in it without being too crazily detailed. And this is specifically important for making a believable crowd that has some elements in it of interest. It's not like, that it is kind of just weird looking or whatnot, like balloonish people. No, the more you zoom out, the more realistic the crowds appear, simply because of their overexposed facial and body-wise elements, which are way too big, but then featuring a very believable normal clothing. This is all the magic behind this. But there is a second layer of it which helps to make it even more realistic, and this is not even about the people themselves or the art style themselves. It is the reason that they choose a comic-y appearance. If you go closer and look at them, they can go nuts when it comes to facial and like skin color and chubbiness and so on. You don't really compare them to real people, This is like a comic-y guy, this is a comic-y girl, and this is a comic-y little kid, This over here, this dude, or this dudette, I should say, this girl over here, she's also like a comic-y one. You wouldn't start to judge them by like being too thick or being too skinny or being too brown or being too white or being too whatever. You don't do this because this game just really doesn't let you, because it is a comic-y person. You wouldn't judge anyone, okay? But you can go nuts. You can get a lot of variation in. And I'm gonna go into this crowd over here a little bit more, so to really show you the difference I'm talking about. So look at this man over here. What's he even wearing? That's not something you wear in a theme park, but it doesn't matter. You can do this. The guy behind you, just don't wear that together. It doesn't matter, okay? It brings variation in. It's so cool, because that makes sure you have got gray-haired older woman over here, while you have then a little bit more of a chubby one behind. You have this dude with like the headphones in, and then he's going around with a very beautiful girl. She's a bit more skinny, you know, but she's also a girlfriend who's not that skinny. And then also we have also kids that have a little bit more, you know, they were fed well. They ate a little bit too many sweets. But again, it doesn't matter because they are not photorealistic. So you don't run into the issue of becoming accused by some false, let's say, prejudices or stuff like that, stereotypes that you're bringing in, because they aren't real. These are like comic persons. That's what I'm saying. So it's really absolutely incredible, because the more you zoom out, again, you can tell the difference. You can tell that the kids are a little bit more chubby, but you know, if you want to zoom in, like, hey, look at that typical American chubby little kid, or like, you know, to really now play into stereotypes, I don't know, look at that, a tall black guy or whatever. So please guys, don't get me wrong, it's just for making the example, okay, make the point stick. It's just like taking some of the well-known stereotypes, or even not, just as an example. This doesn't apply to this game because they are not real. They are not real persons. And this is exactly where we have to talk about different games. Now, I think we don't even need to talk too much about this weird game called Roller Tycoon World. Nope, just a complete disaster, also in art style and persons, correct. Then we go into Jurassic World Evolution. I'm going to include some screenshots for you here. Now, while I can hit play, make it a bit more interesting. Now, Jurassic World Evolution, the people don't look necessarily bad, but they have already the issue of creating a believable crowd. It's not really believable. They all feel a bit more stiff. They feel a bit more, I don't know. Also, talking about this real quick, the animations also pay into that. The animations in this game of the people are really good, like people running somewhere, looking around, waving with their arms and so on. But I wouldn't necessarily count that into the art style, because every other game could pull off these animations too. Of course, even the animations are completely overexposed in this game, which again helps from a distance to make it more believable. The closer you get, it's funny to look at, but it's not really super realistic. But again, it just helps to sell the idea from further away that it makes sense. You know, look at that janitor over here, for example, moving around. You can see the broom wiggling on top of the shoulders, and all these kind of things help really to make it feel alive, to give it a character. And this shows really good art style. This shows the people at Frontier put a lot of time and effort and thought into how to create the crowds, because as easy as it seems, you create some people, most of these peoples are created in a kind of randomizer, you know. Whenever people are generated, they have a few assets they draw things from. You know, you've got like how fat and how thin they are, what is the skin color, what is the wearing type. Please, Frontier devs, if you're listening, you may want to add also, is it cold or hot outside? Because then you can also add another variant of clothing. Just saying, okay, I'm not going to point out anything else here. Just keep that on your list. Okay, no, go on. And then also other aspects, of course, like a big, tall, girl, boy, whatever. You know, all these kind of factors tie into, and then there's a randomly generated person, group, whatever, and they come into your zoo now, or park, whatever. And then, of course, it helps if you have some cool stuff already set, what you can draw from. Now, imagine doing this in a game like Jurassic World Evolution. I'm bringing up the screenshot again so you can see. This makes things a lot more difficult because people tend to look a tiny bit more realistic. You have to pay a lot more attention to what you do for the randomizer because, and that is very important to understand, the more detailed the persons look from a distance, the less details they have. Meaning they look like carbon copies. Like just a simple example, take for example 3 white male men, okay, all wearing a bright shirt and kind of a jeans. You can make them look from very close very different, okay. One of them has like weird eyebrows, the other one has a big nose, the other one has a very big mouth, for example, and the hairstyle is totally different. So from a distance, from up close, that looks totally fine. But the more you zoom out, the elements that will stay is a big white male, dark hair, white face, and similar clothing style, making it look a lot less varied from a distance. And this is the main reason why it lacks character. And that's what's happening in Jurassic World Evolution. The people look good. The more you zoom in, the more you get closer. You see they paid a lot of attention to the people as well. They look kind of okay, and there's some variation in them, but you don't notice until you get very close to them. And when you get very close to them, they are already getting eaten by a T-Rex. So that's how it is, okay? Now, if you go, for example, into games like Parkitect or Roller Coaster Tycoon, this doesn't really matter because these games are 2D mostly, and they have a completely different art style, so that doesn't tie into. But again, you can look into games like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, you can look into Zoo Tycoon 2, or just look at any other game where you have people in also Prehistoric Kingdom might suffer from this problem a little bit, even though what I've seen already from some screenshots, it looks promising. It doesn't look as great, I have to say, as Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, just because they achieved something really, really great with it, in my opinion. So yeah, anyways, guys, that should be it, the little talk about today's feature, so to say, of the Planet games, the people. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to let me know in the comments what you think about the art style of the guest. Would you rather love to see more realistic people? Would you love to see a different art style? Or would you actually love to take these and put that into other games that you play as well, where you would love to have better looking people? Now, again, this is my personal opinion. I think it is a brilliant art style. It deserves all the credit because it really looks phenomenal, in my opinion, because it has these two layers of comic-y, nice variations, free of stereotypes, making a beautiful park-ish digital world possible while being very realistic from a management park builder mode side of things. Really great stuff, okay? But yeah, let me know in the comments down below, what's your opinion? I'm out for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video a lot. It's different, I know, but I want to do more of this stuff in the future. Also, you can let me know if you like this. If not, that's fine too, and you will be pleased with them building on the weekend again. But for now, the only thing I can keep saying is, come on to my live stream. I'm going to play live tonight, again in the Aquatic Dome, if you want to see that. Twitch link is in the description. As always, now stay safe, everyone, and I talk to you in the next one.